Okay, hello. This is MMJ-221 audio production, and we're going to be talking about microphones here. So we'll begin from this point. Microphones and radio production, but all audio production. Microphones are something called a transducer, or a transducer is a microphone. Transducers change one form of energy into another. Now, before it goes into the microphone, it's sound. So my voice coming out of my mouth into the microphone is sound. When the microphone converts it to electrical energy, which happens immediately, then it's audio. Two distinct types of microphones that we primarily work with: dynamic microphones and electrostatic or condenser microphones. And we're going to be talking about those right now. Dynamic microphones. The main type that we work with really is a moving coil microphone, and most of the time if you say a dynamic microphone, you're referring to a moving coil microphone. And the ribbon microphones we'll come to, I don't think we have possession in our department, in our program, of a ribbon microphone to my knowledge. They're not used that often. More so in recording studios. So most of what we work with are the moving coil microphones, and most often those are just simply called dynamic microphones. So let's look at a video.
What's human care? With Humana, it's listening and acting. It's talking.
Hi, I'm Gary Boss, the National Marketing Director for Audio Technica, and I'm here at Sonic Electronics, and I'm going to talk today about dynamic microphones. Now, first of all microphones are what they call transducers, and transducer means that it takes one form of energy and converts it into another form of energy. Now, in the case of a microphone, it takes mechanical energy, which are the waves or the sound waves, and moves something, and it converts it into electrical energy. So, first of all, what we're going to do is show you a microphone. Well, this actually isn't a microphone, it's a diaphragm from a headphone, but pretty much the same thing, and that's very interesting. So essentially what we do is we take this diaphragm material right here, and that would be resident in the head case of this microphone, and we move that diaphragm material. Now that movement moves a coil of wire. Now the coil of wire is going through a small magnet, okay? And if we ever paid attention in high school physics, we know that if you pass a coil of wire through a magnetic field, it generates some current. And in this case, that current modulates, depending on how much this diaphragm is moving, and creates a little electrical energy. Now that will go back to our mixer, and we can amplify it, or record it, or do whatever we want. Now the reason I'm using this as an example, which is from a headphone, is that speakers are essentially microphones in reverse. So speaker, we put energy into it, and it creates a magnetic field that causes the diaphragm to move. So anyways, from a dynamic microphone standpoint, they're very rugged, very durable, and probably the most popular or common type of microphone available right now. So again, we've shown the ATM 410, which is a dynamic microphone. These are all available at Sonic Electronics. And thanks for watching. We got some more videos coming up to teach you more about Audio Technica and about different types of microphones.
And we'll see that fella again as we go forward in this. So the dynamic microphone, he gave a great demonstration there and had a great illustration of it. But here it is again. His illustration is really better than the one that I have. But you have the coil wrapped around the magnet and the diaphragm vibrating. And again, we come back to vibrations, which we've talked about before as the way that sound is created. The vibrations causing the coil to move and creating an electrical current within the microphone. The voice moves the diaphragm, which is kind of like an eardrum, really, and then causes the coil to move, creating the low voltage electrical signal. Dynamic microphones are rugged. They can withstand adverse environments and high sound pressure, and so as he said, that makes them very popular because they last a long time. It's not easy to damage them. So they're very popular in all kinds of environments, but especially in a broadcast sort of environment. This is the Electro Voice 635, which is an extremely versatile little microphone. It's the one that you see right here. It's been around for a long time. Very, very durable. We may have some of these in our equipment room that have been around maybe for 40 years. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back, some of them, that far. So let's look at a video on this particular little microphone.
Hey, here's a beautiful Electro Voice 635A, omnidirectional. 1, 2. What year is this? 1980. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Here it is with no delay. Oh, Cousin John. Delay. Well, I heard the news, there's good rock in the night. Well, I heard the news, everybody's rocking the night.
So as I told you, a lot of these demonstrations will have to do with music. Now he's putting a lot of force into that microphone, and it's handling every bit of it. And I've said before, you could just about drive nails with that microphone, and I'm not far wrong. But they're great for all kinds of purposes. It's an omnidirectional microphone. We'll talk more about that coming up. The Electro Voice EV RE20 is this microphone here with the blue background. This is in almost every radio studio in the world, and in a lot of recording studios. It's certainly in the KETR studios. If you go into their studios, you'll see the Electro Voice RE20.
It's about the humans. These humans, those humans, groovin' and golden.
I love doing microphone reviews, but this is the most excited for a microphone review that I've ever been. After using this microphone at an actual radio station, seeing it in other productions such as on ESPN, etc., I really wanted to try out and give it a review for myself. This microphone is a classic. Stick with us to find out why. We looked at the little brother of this microphone before, the RE320. Well, now we're looking at the classic, the mic with the huge reputation, the Electro Voice RE20. At $500 retail, the RE20 is considered to be a broadcast announcer microphone, but it's a dynamic cardioid variable D microphone just like the RE320. Taking a physical tour, we have a beige or beige gray or gray, studio-friendly cylindrical exterior with a gray grille around the microphone capsule. Again, this is a front address microphone. Towards the bottom is a switch between the flat sound profile and the bass roll-off mode, which is good to prevent heavy low end from carrying too strongly over signal processing, often good for radio and other sorts of broadcasts. There's also the standard XLR connection at the bottom. The mic is quite a bit heavier than its little brother, the RE320, but still noticeably lighter than my Rode Procaster. The mic is about 8.5 inches long and 2.13 inches in diameter at the widest point and weighs about 737 grams or 1.62 pounds. So that's almost a pound and a half, or that's almost a pound difference between the RE320. Inside the large cardioid diaphragm, cardioid is hard to say, by the way, and hard to spell because you don't think there's two eyes right there. The large cardioid diaphragm is designed to produce detailed vocals up to 180 degrees off the mic so that you don't have to eat the mic, so to speak, to get your voice picked up. But if you do, it features a heavy-duty internal shock mount and pop filter to keep your voice from overpowering the mic, and this does quite well.
So I'm going to pause it there. You can watch more of that if you want to. Of course, this video and the outline are available on my Leo 2DL. So you can watch all of these you want, but that is a classic mic, as he said, and really, truly, if you walk into any radio studio in the country, you probably will see that mic. Again, all of these are dynamic, moving coil type microphones. Now the microphone I'm going to show you here, the Shure SM7B, is in the production studios in Journalism 313. So this mic is one that you likely would be using for projects in this class.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. The Shure SM7B is an immensely popular cardioid dynamic microphone. The SM7B has been around for decades, but it's actually, if anything, more popular now than it ever has been in the past. So today we'll be talking about the SM7B and how to get the most out of it, whether you're recording vocals or instruments or doing a podcast or video. You've heard the SM7B a million times, whether it's in a podcast, a voiceover, on a video, or a broadcast, but it's also been used for tons of major label recordings. No less of an engineer than the legendary Bruce Swedien, who has a massive mic collection, used the SM7 for Michael Jackson's vocals on Thriller, for example. It's also been used for recording John Mayer, James Hetfield of Metallica, Keith Urban, Bob Dylan, and tons more. The Shure SM7B was introduced in 1976, but its story actually dates back to the SM5, a broadcast microphone that was introduced in 1966. The SM5 was a huge microphone physically, and Shure wanted something more compact. So they gave their engineers free rein to work on a new microphone. They started with the Shure SM57 cartridge, which is the famous Unidyne 3-element. And they were allowed to do whatever was necessary to create a great dynamic microphone. The result is the SM7B. Now they focused on a few key elements. The SM7 diaphragm is optimized for increased low-end response compared to some other dynamic microphones. The mic is more compact than the SM5, but it's still a large microphone which allows for better low-end response. And it has an internal shock mount that's optimized for stand mounting. Many dynamic microphones, for example the Shure SM57 and the SM58 shock mounts, are optimized for handheld use. Now when we compare an SM57 or an SM58 to the SM7B, we find the 7B has extended full-range response compared to those other microphones. It also has flatter response. And a nice feature on the SM7B is that it has two switches here on the back panel, and these shape the frequency response to whatever source you're recording. As far as specifications, the SM7B has frequency response from 50 Hz to 20,000 Hz.
Okay, I'm going to stop him there, and he gets quite technical. But this is a classic microphone that is in use in a lot of studios, recording studios and broadcast situations. So it's a very, very good microphone. Dynamic microphones generate very little electrical noise or hiss. Announcers, this is when they talk about the bass response in some of these videos. This is sort of what they're talking about. The announcers, some announcers, I'm one of them, like to work close for what is called the proximity effect. Makes your voice sound like you're just right there next to the person, almost talking into their ear. And this brings up and emphasizes the bass quality of the voice. So an increase in low frequency response as you move the mic closer to the source, the person's mouth, where the voice is coming from, the closer you get, the more the bass boost. So us guys that like for our voices to be as deep and resonant as possible, like that aspect of it. Ribbon microphones, I told you that we really don't have any that I know of around here. They are popular though, and some people consider them old-fashioned. You see that old, probably 40s era microphone there. David Letterman used to have one of these on his desk on his talk show. He's a kind of a broadcast nerd, and I doubt that it actually worked. I think it was just there for appearance sake. But with a ribbon microphone, these are legendary for, again, giving a very warm, resonant, deep quality to a person's voice. A metal ribbon is suspended vertically between two poles of a magnet. So this is a different construction than the dynamic moving coil type mic. The ribbon vibrates with sound, very similar to the diaphragm on a dynamic microphone. So there you see the difference in how it's built on the inside. Has a wider frequency range than dynamic mics. Again, that warm, natural sound. So here's something on ribbon microphones. You probably would see this more so in a recording studio.
Human care is more than health insurance. It's a partner who listens and acts, only from Humana.
Hi, I'm Gary Voss, the Marketing Director for Audio Technica, and I'm here at Sonic Electronics talking about ribbon microphones. Now, ribbon mics are prized for their warm, natural sound, and many consider them to be the purest form of transducers. And actually, these fall within the dynamic microphone category. So essentially what we have in a ribbon microphone is we have two very strong magnets that are placed on either side of a super thin strip of conductive material, and what we use is a pure aluminum. Now this material is very light and responds very quickly to just very little air pressure. But unlike the wound coil of a traditional mic that you have to drive around, the ribbon movement cuts through this magnetic field and doesn't have much mass. The way that ribbon microphones work, they tend to be very preamp dependent. Now, Audio-Technica, in their 4081, which I'm holding here, this is actually a phantom-powered ribbon microphone. So the microphone itself has a small built-in preamp in it, which will drive longer cable runs and makes it much less dependent on preamps that you would use externally.
When he says it's dependent, it has phantom power, dependent on phantom power. It requires a power source. Usually there's one of two things: either there's a battery in the microphone, or it's getting power from a board that it is plugged into. But it requires a power source, whereas the other dynamic microphones do not require a power source.
While there are pluses to ribbon microphones, there are some drawbacks. Because the ribbon material is very thin and has a large surface area, if you actually blow into the mic or use it in a high wind situation, you can actually damage it because it stretches that ribbon material. You also typically don't want to store your ribbon microphone horizontally because the ribbon can actually sag and that can permanently damage it.
I'll pause in there. You can watch some more of that if you want to. As he said, these are more fragile, and this is the main reason why they're not more popular. They sound great. Everybody loves the way they sound, but they're fragile. And as he said, the wind can damage them, and sometimes you shouldn't do this really to any microphone. This thing of blowing into the mic because you're putting a lot of force on that diaphragm. The dynamic, the moving coil type mics, the ones we were looking at before, probably won't be damaged by that, but it's not necessarily the best idea. But especially the ribbon mics, do not blow into them because they are much more fragile. This is a more modern ribbon microphone. It still kind of looks like the old-fashioned ribbon mics that you see in the old movies from the 30s and 40s. Do not take ribbon mics outside unless it's in a case. Again, this is why they're used almost entirely in studio situations. That little 635, Electro Voice 635, is a champ in any outdoor kind of situation. They're great for television production and sports production, all of that. Ribbon mics make great voice microphones. Announcers love them because they make them sound good. They greatly emphasize that proximity effect that we were talking about. There's another video there you can watch if you want, but I think I'm going to pass that one over. And we will leave it at that point for this video. And I'll exit there and exit here, and we'll pick this discussion up next time with part 2 on microphones. Thanks.